So, mate, long time overdue. We're talking Fantastic Beasts 4.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a weird situation for us because it's been quite a long time a few months since we saw the film, talked about it, and there's still no news at the moment, as of this recording, if there's even going to be a fourth film.
Yeah.
It's concerning, honestly. But in light of that, though, I think it would be fun to talk about what we think could still happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would just be fun.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
To speculate.
My favorite one of the videos we've ever made is the like Fantastic Beasts 3. What we should have in it, like the same video we're doing today, but for the previous film. That was one of my favorite videos we ever made. So definitely, like, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, and God, it's so interesting because I've got an entire script worth of story notes here for you. So how do you want to do this? Would you like yourself to go first, or would you like me to start us off?
Yeah, definitely go for the stuff you've got, and I can just react to what you've got already.
Okay, and I'll do vice versa to you.
Yeah, and I'll like say something every now and again.
So yeah, again, so as of now, there is no concrete confirmation if the film's even going to happen.
I reckon it will, because they said they're doing 5, and it's gonna. And I reckon since the last one made so much money, well, not as much as the previous one, but it makes enough money for like the whole brand, like Warner Brothers making Fantastic Beasts and Harry Potter merchandise. I think it's likely that there's going to be another one, at least just to make some more money.
I'd like to think so, but at the same time, there was all those reports going around that the executives were looking at they were looking at how much this newest film made, and they were going to greenlight the next 2 films, depending if the film made enough money.
Oh, Christ.
And apparently it didn't.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm concerned about, especially because it's been several months.
Mm-hmm. And with Warner Brothers like going through and axing a lot of their stuff anyway, like with the Batgirl movie and a bunch of other Warner Brothers properties.
Yeah.
So Harry Potter might be in danger, but the thing is, Harry Potter is one of their biggest brands, so that's why I have hope that there'll be another one. But yeah, it could possibly be that the Secrets of Dumbledore was the last one.
Yeah, and I do reiterate what we talked about before. If that was to be the case, I would be upset, because this would be the first case with Harry Potter where we would have an unfinished story.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when you look at the Fantastic Beasts films as this trilogy currently, there is enough there for you to say, okay, that's the end. You can, again, as in a way, because the third film does wrap stuff up, and in a sense, it probably would. It will be, again. This is talking about if it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It might be for the best that we never see this legendary battle, because and they leave it to the imagination.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of things are better when you just can picture it than they actually just show it. It might be really like terrible. That like they might do a really shit version of like a fight, like the ones that we've seen like in Secrets of Dumbledore. Like the duel then wasn't the best, and they might just do something like that again.
I thought it was alright, honestly. It had elements of great.
It was alright, but it wasn't like Dumbledore versus Voldemort in Order. That was epic. But this was just sort of a couple of like white spells in the mirror dimension.
Yeah, I feel like it levels up in ups and downs, because you've got some great ones like the Dumbledore fight with Voldemort, and then elements with this one with Dumbledore and Grindelwald.
Mm-hmm. But
then you get the very generic ones from every other film in the series, where they're good, but they're almost the same.
Yeah, it's just like the thing that I think I've said this in another video. The thing that annoys me about magic in Harry Potter, especially the movies, is that it's just white spells. When there's like a battle, all they're doing is shooting a white jet, or not even sometimes that. Sometimes a white spark at the end of the wand, then someone gets hit, and that's like so. It's just a bit lazy. But I think that like you said, there was a couple of like cool uses of magic. Like with Lally, she used a lot of what I call book magic, where she can like use papers to like step on and teleport and all this stuff.
Yeah, I feel like getting to the point. Sorry, again. Us and our rambling, but I do understand if this was to be the last one, they would leave it to our imaginations.
Yeah, the only like plot point that I feel that they haven't finished is Grindelwald. Like every other character, if you left them as they were, that would be very satisfying. Like Dumbledore, you will see him in Harry Potter next. He's written his book. He's with Tina. The only one is Grindelwald, because he was just fell off a cliff. So like, if that was the last one, you'd imagine he fell off a cliff and went into Nuremberg Nuremberg prison.
Nuremberg prison.
Yeah, like he falls into the prison, and then that's it. Like, and then you see him get killed by Voldemort.
Yeah, just imagine he spent those next 10 years just in hospital recovering from
Yeah, from the fall. Yeah, he didn't apparate. He just fell down the cliff.
and then 10 years later, okay, I'm healed now. Let's have our duel.
You've been nicked. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, I hope it happens though.
Me too. Any like Wizarding World content, I'll just lap up. So yeah, I would really want another one to be made.
Yeah, and for me, mostly because I just like complete stories. I don't want this series to be cut in half, even though it does have just cause to end at this point. Because for all we know, the next film could happen. But then it could be like Crimes of Grindelwald again, where it's because they've still got 2 more movies to do technically.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what they decide to do, or if they even have a story in mind at the moment, it depends really just how it's going to be handled until we get to that last movie where we get to the big event that we've been building up to see. But yeah, to get to the actual point of this episode today, we're going to be talking about what we think could happen.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited because I came up with this draft roughly around the time we saw the Secrets of Dumbledore, and I've somewhat built on it since. Yeah, close to like 4 to 5 months, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to share this with you, all of you.
Sweet.
So
let's begin.
Here's my pitch for Fantastic Beasts 4. I can't think of a proper title.
I was going to say, as yet untitled.
Yeah, although the only thing I can confirm is that I would almost like to have maze in the title, if that makes sense. So I've got
Lost in a Maze.
So I've got a very random title here, borrowing a character from Nerota here, The Maze of Mardara. Just imagine that is a wizard's name or something.
Is that not a character you've made up?
No, that's
just a random name.
That's a name from the anime and manga Naruto.
Anime. Lovely.
But yeah,
would it not be like The Maze of Scaramanga? Not Scaramanga. Scamander. Scaramanga, that's James Bond. Maze of Scamander.
We're crossing over the franchises.
Yeah, James Bond's going to be the next one. Sorry, go on.
Okay, so Fantastic Beasts, The Maze of Mardara. So my story, would begin with the film being set in 1939. So it's the year the Second World War begins.
Mm-hmm. Good setting.
And the main plot of this story is that Newt, Tina, Theseus join Dumbledore and the Genie on a mission to reclaim a long-lost MacGuffin that has ties to a very powerful wizard from the dawn of wizard history.
Merlin, perchance?
I didn't think of Merlin. I just envisioned him to be this very ancient wizard who had a long history, a very shrouded in mystery history with magical creatures.
The Maze of Merlin.
The Maze of Merlin does sound cool now.
Yeah.
But I didn't envision him as Merlin.
Yeah, fair enough.
But in retrospective, maybe it could be Merlin.
Maybe I think if there's like a old character in wizarding lore, maybe you could find one from Harry Potter canon, I guess.
Yeah. But the story would go as such that the wizard's secret fortress has recently been discovered in Italy or Brazil, depending on where they decide to set this next film in. And one of Dumbledore's friends, though an ally, he is unaware that one of his colleagues who helped him find this discovery is also secretly working with Grindelwald. So that's how
is that going to be someone that we've met already or someone new?
I think Dumbledore does have an acquaintance in the books who went on adventures with him at some point.
Yeah, Doge, isn't it?
I think so. I think it's Doge.
Yeah, because he's in Harry Potter. He talks to Harry at the Bill and Fleur's wedding.
Yeah, I can't remember what his profession is. So if it's not related to archaeology or such, then it just make it to be like a random another character that just has connections to Dumbledore. But the point is, this is how the heroes discover this new secret, and vice versa. Grindelwald's side also discovers this because he has followers everywhere still. Dumbledore needs Newt's aid, as this legendary wizard himself was very much tied to the remarkable and very dangerous magical creatures, some of which have been lost to history, now only recounted as myths and legends, even by wizard standards.
Mm.
So, as such, he will need an expert in the field. So this is my reasoning as to why Newt would be involved.
I was going to say, like, why would Newt still be in this story? Because if it's the Dumbledore and Grindelwald story, what's Newt going to have to do? And that's a very good, very good way of putting him in the story.
Yeah, and I think this would just be a great way to keep the core characters without just like throwing off into another storyline.
And the Fantastic Beast element of it.
And of course, keeping that element to the story.
It needs to be the title.
Grindelwald is in search of this MacGuffin as well, as he is convinced that it will give him an advantage against Dumbledore. Albus, meanwhile, also believes that maybe, if they can get this MacGuffin before Grindelwald, it will allow him to save Credence's life, who is now very close to death.
And still played by Ezra Miller?
No.
Ah.
I mean, after everything that's happened, which we won't talk about or go into, I'm convinced that if they move forward with the series, we need a recasting.
Yeah, well, it's not like they haven't done it for Grindelwald.
Yeah.
So, so they could easily do it. Who'd be a good replacement for Ezra Miller? Timothée Chalamet?
Maybe. I mean, maybe just get Dylan O'Brien.
Who's he?
He's have you seen The Maze Runner?
Yeah.
He's the main character in that.
Okay, sure, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm basically just pushing that out there because he was a contender to replace Ezra Miller when The Flash was a big thing to talk about. But yeah, maybe just do the same thing with him.
Sure.
But either way, we need a new casting character for this for Credence. Because I still want him to be in this story, but I intentionally gave him less of a role in this film.
Well, I was going to say, before you go on, if I was pitching the next one, I'd probably just kill off Credence, because by the end of Secrets of Dumbledore, he was like close to death, and I was, you could just like say, like, it would be a scene with Aberforth saying, "Oh yeah, he died," and he's not in the story anymore.
That they could do that, and that probably would be the safest option.
Yeah.
But I also do feel like to do a story justice, you need to somewhat follow through.
Yeah.
And considering what they've done with his character so far, I feel like they at least need to give the character a send off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be a shame to have like the focus of these three movies basically be around Credence, and him just dying off screen would be a bit of a shame. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So so the goal here that's set up is that Grindelwald wants this MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm using my MacGuffin routine here from the previous episode.
Yeah.
Last time we talked about this, because again, it could be anything. It depends on what the writers want it to be.
Yeah, like the MacGuffin in the last one was the Blood Pact, which they just sort of switched off by like having some sort of bullshit magic reasoning for it.
Yeah, but yeah, essentially the goal here is that Grindelwald wants it for his own gain, because because of after what happened with the third film, they can now duel each other and possibly lose. So he wants this extra, support item to protect himself. Yeah. And for Dumbledore, he wants it because he has hope that this could help save his family, the family that he's sort of regained now with after losing Albus.
That's sort of like a theme of Dumbledore quite a lot. Like within the last one. In Secrets of Dumbledore, the theme was Dumbledore was using a spell to protect Credence, and Grindelwald was using it to try and kill him, and Dumbledore won because of the power of love. Because isn't that Dumbledore's whole thing? It's like the power of love is more powerful than anything else, and it's the same sort of thing for the. I don't know if you thought about this. It's the same sort of thing for the Mirror of Erised and the Philosopher's Stone. Like Harry wanted to get it not to use it, but just because. What was his reasoning for it? He didn't want to use it. He just wanted it to have it for the greater good. And
he didn't want to use it. He just wanted to prevent it from getting into the hands of the Dark Lord.
And Voldemort wanted it for power. So it sort of like echoes those two plot points. That's very good. A good through line for the theme of Dumbledore.
Thank you.
All right.
So continuing on, for the last 7 years, they have been able to keep Credence stable and alive, allowing him to live a relatively peaceful existence, though through numerous magical ways. Potions, advanced healing enchantments, and unorthodox spells consented to by the Ministry. However, it has now gotten to the point where his body cannot maintain the remedies, due to the Obscurus adapting to the medical medicines and rejecting them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the explanation as to why, even though they said he was close to death, did the last film, they had remedies to sort of keep him alive.
Yeah.
But this is now like last stand. You can no
Last
longer do
ditch
anything else to
effort,
help
yeah.
him.
Fair
So,
enough.
which is why Dumbledore's resorting to this possible legend.
Mhm.
Nagini, meanwhile, joins the team out of her own desire to help Credence. And during this mission, the course of this story, she also forms a strong brother-sisterly bond with Newt. Due to him seeing her merits and true self, while she appreciates him for his honest and good-hearted outlook on life and in everyone else. So this is sort of like building up from Crimes of Grindelwald, where they introduced her, didn't do anything with her,
Yeah.
and it just dropped her in
And
the
then
next
she does
film.
it in it, yeah.
So this film, they have got to pay that off.
Mhm. Are you going to have an explanation of what she's been doing
Yeah,
since?
my main structure with her was that she just reunited with Cretans off screen, and she spent these last like 7 to 9 years just like living with him.
Mhm.
So she's like, again, she's part of the family essentially, and she's like kept in touch. So again, there's a through line connection,
Yeah.
and I talked about this before. I wanted Newt and her to have a connection because I just feel like it would make so much more sense.
That does make a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, especially considering his profession,
Mhm.
his hobby, and his like good nature. And I feel like this is the last film, if they were to make it, that they could pay that off.
Mhm. Surely, maybe I don't know if you're going to come up with this, and I might be spoiling it, but you can, see. Is Nagini going to turn villainous by the end of this?
You will see.
Okay. Okay.
Now, those so far have been part of the main the main plot. The one subplot that I have with this movie would feature Jacob being drafted to join the army in the event of World War II.
Yeah. I think you need to check the times for that because the US didn't join the war until quite late on. So you might have to check the timelines for that.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, again, experts can probably, or history buffs can probably like do the maths on that. But in short, I feel like this would be the best way to write him out of the main story without, but also keeping him present. Because I feel like this is a subplot that would work because we know he was in he took part in like the First World War.
Yeah.
And considering everything he's been through, I feel like he would definitely have a lot more courage to and especially considering he's got a family now, he would definitely like take the mantle up to like protect his family, to protect his country.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like this would allow us to lessen the cast without getting rid of them like they did with a lot of them in the second and third films. But yeah, so he's been drafted to join the war, and Queenie Queenie is reluctant to let him go, of course, due to being pregnant.
Or so pregnant ?
Pregnant, or they've already had it. They've already had a kid.
Sure.
And she's pregnant again.
Yeah, since the last movie, yeah.
Yeah, because it's been like 7 to 9 years. I can't remember what I said before.
Oh yeah, if it's been 7 to 9 years, they definitely would have had a kid by now because they got married, so they would probably had a kid the next year. So yeah, they would probably have a 5-year-old child.
Yeah, the main goal with this subplot is to set up that Jacob's had a life now. He's had a family, and now he's got this big thing coming that he has to make a decision with if he's going to just stay with his family, but still do his part, or do the part that could, help everyone in the long run with going to the front.
That works for my satisfaction with timelines and plots and stuff. So I don't know if this is going to spoil anything in your thing, but if in the rest of the Fantastic Beasts series, Queenie or Jacob are killed off, in the Harry Potter lore, there's supposed to be a Quidditch player in the American team called Kowalski. So this could be their kid, and then they can still die off anyway. Because in my mind, I was like, how are they going to have a kid if they're both dead? But if they're already married and has a kid, they can. But either of them could die off, and the timeline still remains the same. But I'll see what the end of this story has in store if that is a possibility.
Okay, so in short, she's reluctant to let him go because she loves him, because they have a family now. She's very unsure. However, regardless though, he ends up accepting the call to action and joins the efforts in World War II. And he does assure her, I am not going to let this kill me. I am going to come home. Because after everything we've been through, I'm not going to let this stand in the way of our life together.
Oh dear.
So that allows us to build a bit of tension.
Yeah.
back to the main story. This film I also envision to be the conclusion to the Newt and Tina back and forth romance. Because
after 4 movies, I bloody hope so.
Yeah, because I love Harry Potter books and films for how they did everything, but I do wish in some form that they'd almost maybe gotten a lot of the romantic pairings and characters.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish a lot of them had gotten together sooner.
Sure.
Yeah, like, so let us have these, relationships blossom and develop beyond just, that's my girlfriend.
Well, yeah, I think, and especially for these movies, since the Harry Potter books are based off of the set around children, it makes sense for them to not know what they want and to experiment and to date around. But for adults, because these movies are all set around adults, it would make more sense for them to get together sooner.
Yeah.
And to have a relationship rather than being this weird back and forth and messages, about like where Tina thought that he got with Lita Lestrange, but because of a print mess up, it's just like, oh, what an interesting story plot point to put in this.
We've not seen that like in every other franchise film series that has a romantic storyline that doesn't want to progress. But yeah,
I guess there should be love stories in Harry Potter because the whole thing is about love, the magic of love, isn't it? So we have to have these stories.
Yeah, but yeah, I do wish that they had done things differently with Harry Potter and with these films too, especially because as you said it perfectly there. I wish that they would like act like adults instead of just running along this will they won't they side to it. But yeah, this film I envision to be the conclusion to that, because by having built up a relationship throughout this movie, because in short, I'm going off my notes. I'm not going on my notes here now. I'm just literally wording it here. Mm-hmm. But I feel like after this adventure, there can be no more, back and forth, because it's been like close to over 10 years at this point. From the first film.
Yeah, set in 26.
Yeah, 1926 this began. It's now like 1940
odd.
40 something. I can't remember. I said it earlier, but god damn it.
1939.
Yes, that's it.
Oh my god. 10 years. they've got to at least get together, so if not already be together. Because you wouldn't want to have them properly get together off screen, would you?
No, that would be unsatisfying as hell. Yeah. So this film can conclude that subplot, and they can build a relationship throughout this movie. And this movie begins where they finally confess. Well, it doesn't begin. This film will be where they confess their feelings to one another, and maybe during a high stakes moment they will kiss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perhaps the whole thing about they haven't got together for so long. You can say that Newt and Tina are both quite well. Tina's quite career driven, and Newt has his beast to take care of. So it could be like the sort of they can have the character arc of this movie that is they realize that they don't have to focus all their efforts on one thing, and they can be together and still do the things they love. So that could be part of this subplot.
That works, mate.
There you go.
I didn't think of that.
There you go.
Meanwhile, his brother Theseus can also encourage him to go for it. Because as he knows, in this current time, it's easy to lose those closest to them.
Yeah.
And he's reflecting on his lost love, Lita.
That I literally forgot that was a thing, because he was completely fine in Secrets of Dumbledore. I don't think he even mentioned Lita, did they?
They acknowledged her briefly, and he's still sad about it, but it's not a recurring thing.
I didn't even remember that, because he's like he like has this like pairing with Lally, so like he's just sort of fine now. He doesn't really care. But I think this is what should have been. It seems like from what's happening with Fantastic Beasts is from the second to third, they sort of retconned a bunch of stuff, and now this is going to retcon a bunch of other stuff. Being like, he actually is sad.
No, I mean, maybe you could chalk a lot of everything he did up in Secrets of Dumbledore to just being him like so driven with the current mission.
Yeah,
they didn't need to focus on that.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
But I just feel like this is again stuff that needs to be wrapped up and acknowledged that as part of the big story. And he's definitely encouraging Newt. Yeah, she likes you, you like her. It's been over a bloody decade, bro. go for it,
Yeah.
and because you might lose her any day now, and I know from experience.
Hey. Oh dear. It's a bit depressing.
And this is just a little add-on here.
Yeah.
This doesn't need to happen, but at the same time, I feel like this would just be funny for the trivia people, and also for the fangirls out there.
Yeah.
In this movie, again, I don't think I mentioned it before, but this film would primarily, be set in, begin in London, and Hogwarts, of course,
yeah.
but then it would predominantly take place in, Brazil or Italy.
I was thinking actually Egypt might be an interesting place to set it, just because of like the connections with Harry Potter, like all the wizard, like the goblin vaults are in Egypt and dragons and all that stuff. Like Egypt seems a very magical country.
Yeah.
Perhaps that if there's nothing like set in stone,
No,
and it could be like a pharaoh wizard as the like ancient wizard that you say, and a maze, because there's like mazes in the like pyramids and stuff.
That is true, yeah. But I think I mainly envisioned this movie to take place in a jungle.
Ah, sure. There's no. I don't think there's a jungle. It's all desert in Egypt.
Yeah, but again, I'm not off the top of my head. I'm not even sure if there's a jungle in well, there's a lot of forests and stuff in. We're literally rambling. We're just two British blokes just rambling about stuff in other countries.
We don't know anything about. Oh dear.
We don't know a damn. But hey, let's just like let our imaginations wander here. But yeah, I just envisioned this movie taking place in a jungle.
Sure.
Because again, we've had so many cities.
Yeah, this is true. I guess the end of the last movie had something different, which was like a mountain, which was fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just want the series to embrace, the other landscapes beyond just the main cities, because it's great to see Spain. It's good. No, France, and it's good. It was good to see a bit of China and Brazil in the last movie.
And
Germany, yeah. But
yeah, it was very just like building. It wasn't just like landscapes.
Yeah, and I felt this film needs to almost embrace the sense of an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So what better way to do that than have it be like a trek through the jungle?
Sure.
So yeah, getting back to the main point. Sorry, the big thing not the big thing, but the little trivia thing I would add to this film is that because they're in a jungle, they're going to encounter some obstacles to get in the way, and they're also going to have to take breaks to recover. Because I don't think I have this in my notes, but I would also envision that they wouldn't be able to apparate straight away to this sacred fortress.
Sure, like same sort of magic as Hogwarts.
Yeah, it has that remedy that gets in the way, and it would also give the characters a reason to trek through the jungle.
Yeah.
And let them have a sense of adventure and also danger.
Sure.
But during this adventure, I would want there to be a shirtless scene for Newt.
Because they said they were going to do that, did they? Was it for the first one?
The first one, yeah. There was meant to be a scene where I think it was in his suitcase where he was like treating Jacob.
It was probably when Jacob was ill and he was taking off his clothes anyway.
Yeah. Newt was meant to change clothes or something after like the hectic day, or maybe it was even before later on. But the point is, he was meant to change clothes, and you were meant to see his shirt, him shirtless. Mm-hmm. And it was meant to show off a lot of the scars he'd obtained from his life working as a magic zoologist.
You think they could like have like scratch marks from claws of like some sort of lion style claw, and like I was thinking like suction cup from like a squid, like a giant squid, stuff like that. Just like all different styles of like scars and stuff. Maybe like with some sort of magic looking scar that's like green or something.
Yeah, but I feel like this would just be a fun bit for the ladies, for all the fangirls out there who want to see Newt Scamander out that less clothed. and also I think in terms of the story, I think it would just be a little of a fun bit for a bit of tension relieving, especially when it comes to the romance with him and Tina. Because I'm just picturing the scene where they're like recovering after like a recent monster attack, which we'll get to.
Oh, obviously, I had a thought for that too, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, they're just like catching their breath. They're like changing some stuff around, getting the equipment ready, and Newt just in this moment takes his shirt off so he can just like get some blood off or something. And in that moment, Tina just sees him shirtless, and she like just oogles him.
I don't think we should have her lusting over him. I think it should be rather than it being a lustful scene, it should be a poignant thing of like he cares about. He's very like it could be part of that subplot where it's like he's very driven in what he does because she sees all the scars. Rather than seeing him shirtless, she sees the scars and she's like, wow, I respect him very like more now for seeing this, that he's done this to himself and he still does it, rather than it being naked man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is better, honestly.
But if we get a topless Newt, it's only fair to get a topless Dumbledore. That's what I'm hoping for. topless Jude Law, yes, please.
Yeah, they could.
Anyway, after Newt's shirtless scene.
But yeah, I think it would just be a fun scene. I think it would be a good chance for Eddie Redmayne to show off, because he did put a lot of effort for that scene originally.
He did worked out for a bit and got like some six-pack for that, but they never got to show it.
Nah, so this might be his next chance to do it.
Yeah.
And also it would just be fun for trivia fans, because hey, this was meant to be in the first movie.
Yeah.
But they finally got it for this movie.
Yeah, and it would add to that subplot of Newt and Tina. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just fun. Yeah. It's just fun to add these little character bits.
You don't want it. You don't want it to just be like what Marvel does with like every single Marvel movie has like a shirtless bloke in it because he's worked out. You want it to be for a reason, like I said earlier.
Yeah. Again, you made it so much better now compared to how I envisioned it, mate.
It's all right. I'm good at working off people's ideas.
Okay, so while searching for the fortress, which would be ancient, has never been set foot in by any other witch or wizard for generations. The gang would then be confronted by several magical beasts protecting the stronghold. Later discovered to actually test intruders. See. So this was all set up by this ancient wizard.
Like, I don't know if this is what you thought of it by this, but like how all these different challenges were set up for the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
Was that what you were thinking? Because that's very clever. Oh, okay. Because that's very clever though. Because like if like is Dumbledore going to be in this part of this gang?
Yeah. The main team, reiterating from earlier, the main gang is Newt, Dumbledore, Tina, and Nagini.
Lovely stuff. Okay, because this could be like Dumbledore could see this and be like, "Oh, this is good," and then he uses it later on.
Oh yeah,
this is great. Okay, go on.
Yeah, but essentially, this entire mission is basically all one big test from the wizard, the ancient wizard. So whoever does come searching for his MacGuffin, they have to be tested to prove their worthiness of this MacGuffin.
I know that you were hoping for a jungle, but if this is set in Egypt, then some of the testing creatures could be like the Sphinx, like it was in the Harry Potter book, where like they say a riddle and you get it and then you go through stuff like that, because there's lots of different like Egyptian creatures that are like that, kind of like testing and creepy. But I know you don't want it to be Egypt, so that's just a thought. Okay,
so adding on to that, now one of these creatures, one of the tests. This is very rough draft of how I can envision it, and I'm sure if Potter fans out there can think of something better, or there might be a creature that already exists that's quite similar to this.
Oh, I'll see if I can remember one.
But I envision that one of these creatures would be a beast that makes its prey see their wants and desires, as well as relive painful and traumatic memories, depending on which memory is strongest, so to subdue the victim.
Similar to a Dementor.
I wouldn't say it like that, because they primarily focus on your depression stuff, the depressed stuff of your life. This creature would pull from the tragic stuff, but also the happiest stuff. Essentially, that's how it would just like use its weapon to basically draw in a victim with their most painful or their most emotional memories, and then they would allow it to kill them.
So Dumbledore's would be his sister.
Yeah, and adding on to that, through this, we could see flashbacks to scenes we'd like to see on screen that we haven't been able to see yet.
Wow, yeah.
Such as the death of Ariane Dumbledore. Maybe we could glimpse Newt's childhood and his desire to have a life with Tina. We could see how he got expelled. Yeah.
Yeah,
and we could even have Theseus be confronted by one of these creatures, and he sees Lita appear before him. And through his desire to marry the woman he loved before she was taken from him, his fiancée would then offer him her embrace, telling him, "Come to her, come to me, let us be together." He would be tempted for a second before he would then be able to snap out of it, just as the creature attacks.
Nice.
So you can envision this great scene of a ghostly Lita just like standing in front of him, arms embrace. He takes a step, and then he's in awe. He's been trained for these situations, but to keep an eye out for the smallest details. So he senses something, and then he
Snaps
backs
out of it.
away just as the creature lunges.
Yeah.
And then he's like starts a duel. With
Yeah,
it.
and Lita's face like turns into like the mouth of the monster or something like that.
Yeah.
Would we see like flashbacks to Crimes of Grindelwald in that bit with when she died?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, just before. Yeah, that's cool.
It would make sense, like brief glimpses of her literally like bursting into blue flame or whatever it was, how she died.
Just a quick footnote on this: is Lally in your script?
No.
Why? She was the best character. I was just thinking because like Lally like seems to be maybe not quite, but it seems to be, like I said, paired up with Theseus. Maybe they get together at some point because they seem to have a good connection. But or maybe it's just professional. But anyway, she was like one of my favorite characters from the last movie, and I think if you like change this a little bit, I'd her because she was a like excellent character.
Mm-hmm. I will stand by that. I would rather keep the main characters from this story as them.
Mm-hmm.
The main team on this mission. They would. I would not add to it.
Sure.
But in light of that, I would think they could have like a scene at the beginning.
Yeah, with her and Dumbledore. Or would, like, maybe not even if it was with Theseus, but maybe her and Dumbledore because they were teachers.
Is Lally?
Nice teacher.
I don't know. Oh yeah. Sorry, I don't know why I got it in my head that you were talking about Bunty.
No, I don't care about Bunty. I don't care. No, Lally.
Oh, sorry, Lally.
The good character, not Bunty.
Yeah. I kind of envisioned her as a character that would come back more for the final film, which I will touch on. But yeah, I didn't envision her to be part of this story, if I'm honest.
Can she be in the movie? Like, can she like be in the end or something? Like just Lally's here. Like
she could. But again, I can't. We'll get to it. But I could definitely envision her in a minor role in the beginning, at the end, and at the end.
I hope so. Or maybe like a little sub. Maybe she could be in Jacob, or maybe she could be friends with Queenie. She could be in the Queenie subplot, just like so we can see her more.
Yeah.
Because I think if that's my like so far my one criticism of this is that there's a lack of Lally.
Yeah, I can. And now I'm revisiting the scenario with Jacob. She'd be coming to tea with Jacob
exactly
and Queenie, and then they get the letter or like they get the news that like drafting for World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be where she like that's her scene from the beginning, and we'll get to what happens at the end with Jacob. So yeah, that Theseus can have his duel with a monster, and while this is all going on. While everything's been going on with this mission with Newt and his gang, Grindelwald's been doing his own thing too. His forces have also gone to the jungle. They've fought their way through some monsters too. In general, creatures that inhabit the jungle, magical creatures, and they've now reached the fortress too. So they'll be going through essentially the same thing where they're fighting off monsters. Some of them will die because they're the bad guys.
Yeah, they're stupid.
Yeah, but the main thing is that they're sort of like a lurking presence that is slowly catching up with the heroes.
And maybe like they can show like the protagonists all being like clever and outwitting these tasks or these creatures, and then Grindelwald just brute forcing his way through because that's who he is.
Yeah, I envision he would be a bit smarter, so he would get some of them right. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like because they have Newt on their side. The Grindelwald and his acolytes would be far in a less advantage.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And I just thought of this. I can't recall if I have this in my notes, but I actually wouldn't mind it if they could also give us a glimpse of Grindelwald's childhood too.
Oh yeah.
So he could face one of these beasts again that has that power I mentioned, and he too could see a vision of his once him and Dumbledore together taking over the world, and then it could morph into his nightmare of him like. Seeing his most darkest time with his youth,
like a what if with like current Dumbledore being evil. Yeah, that would be really cool.
So yeah, while the bad guys are doing their own thing, I would actually focus on one of these acolytes, and this lone acolyte of Grindelwald wanders through the maze of the fortress in search of the MacGuffin. They've all been given orders find the MacGuffin, so that's what they're doing. After defending himself from another magical creature. He stumbles across a room containing a mural, along with ancient writings engraved into the wall. This mural isn't directly shown to the audience, however, we are able to glimpse the features of sharp claws, evil-looking eyes, and the sight is so eerie it unsettles the Grindelwald acolyte. Little tease there.
I was saying, should that be the French lady? Because she's like the most prominent Grindelwald
Probably, yeah.
servant.
Yeah, that would make sense. Again, this is backtracking a bit. Sorry, but when they're tracking through the jungle, some of the creatures that I would like them to encounter.
Yes. Can I just say my one quickly so I don't forget? Maybe I doubt this will be one of yours, but should we have like, I guess not a comical, but like it'd be funny. So you'll see what. So a bowtruckle that's just massive and like a tree, basically like a bowtruckle tree, evil, stabby. That's as far as my brain processes go. Yeah, stabby.
Huh.
Bowtruckle.
Didn't think of that, but that could be interesting.
Like
an offshoot species of the bowtruckle, and that could be interesting. That would give us a reason to have Pickett along and have some involvement with a little rescue of the heroes.
Yeah, maybe Pickett can go. Like because Pickett's thing was he was like scared to be like he had separation anxiety, so maybe he could join these like jungle bowtruckles. And that could be him going away from Newt.
I just thought of this now, actually, but that could be a fitting conclusion where Newt and Tina finally get together. They're like taking their next step in their relationship, and so this could be Pickett's like development where he's like he finally gets over his separation anxiety, and he finds people
his tribe,
his own tribe, and this could be like the conclusion to their little story.
Yeah, I could just imagine like just a quick tangent, like a funny thing, like this beast like running over to them, like on all fours, sort of just like pounding towards them, and then Newt just holds up a little Pickett and it stops dead, and it's like Puss in Boots when it goes like the sad eyes, just like that, like Pickett's just there, and then it's like okay, and then it's like it doesn't attack him anymore.
Interesting.
Or like Pickett just like putting his head up and saying stop, like when he goes no, something like that.
Yeah, that would be nice. And but yeah, sorry. So what I would add, some of the creatures I would add, nothing too drastic, because we talked a lot about this in the last episode. We talked about potential creatures featured, and I feel like some of those could still be plucked in, but I think the main ones I would really want to see in the next movie would be werewolves, and again, I'm bloody gonna butcher this, but the Leatherfold. Leperfold. Thank you.
Is that your jellyfish-looking black one?
Yeah, essentially it's a creature that's
not jellyfish, stingray.
Stingray, sorry, yeah. It's very much like in some form. I don't think it's directly related to the Dementors, but it gives off a very similar ability and presence.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they're not going to do, I feel like this would be the best way for them to again distance Fantastic Beasts from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
By not just having Dementors there, but they could have the magical creature equivalent of a Dementor. So, and also I think for werewolves, primarily just because I feel like Harry Potter has such a rich world of magical creatures, and we've had a great one with Lupin in the main series. It'd be cool to have see what a feral werewolf would be.
Similar to Greyback.
Yeah, I feel like I would love to see a feral werewolf in its own habitat. And again, I don't know if the Wizarding World has werewolves in jungle settings, but let's just say for hypothetical scenarios right now they do.
Just sorry, but I know you don't want it. You want it to be set in the jungle, but if it's set in Egypt, maybe there's a god. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's Anubis. It might be wrong, but there's a god.
Anubis is like the dog.
Yeah,
dog god.
It's a man with a head of a dog. What if the Egyptians were just like they saw a werewolf and they're like, yes, God. And that's what like the Anubis was. He was a werewolf. That's excellent.
Damn it! That
world building.
That could.
You have to set this in Egypt now.
No.
Maybe the next one.
I'll leave it on if they ask for rewrites, I might.
Please.
So we're in the final act now. So in the end, the film can conclude with Newt and the gang getting their hands on the MacGuffin. However, it becomes impossible to evade Grindelwald and his acolytes because they get there just at around the same time and they duel. So we get another duel. This time it's not Dumbledore versus Grindelwald, but we can get again sort of concluding, not concluding, but we get Newt and Grindelwald dueling in this film because Dumbledore's got the MacGuffin, so it's his job to keep it away from Grindelwald. So that's a reason for him to be not take part in the duel.
Yeah.
And maybe disarm a few acolytes at least, but he can't confront Grindelwald.
I don't think there should be a Dumbledore-Grindelwald fight because there wasn't supposed to be in the last one. So I think that'd be good if there wasn't one of this.
So yeah, it becomes impossible for the heroes to get away with the MacGuffin because they're being cornered by every turn from the acolytes and Grindelwald. So in the end, Newt and Dumbledore are forced to destroy the MacGuffin, preventing the enemy from gaining it. In doing so, though, they have now condemned Credence's life in the process. So that's how this film wraps up. In the end, they have to make the hard choice. They have to save everyone because they know if Grindelwald got this, they would have a much more worse chance of beating him. And it's like I'm following the Spock logic here. It's like the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah, like you can have it like, I don't know if you've said this already, but you can have it like Grindelwald basically has it. He basically has it in his hand, and it's like he can use it like soon. So like they have to make the decision like in a split second. Like we need to destroy this. We can't let it. There's no like you said. There's no point us having it or like it being around if we can't use it. So just destroy it.
Mm. Yeah, and just as a little add-on here, considering we're still in the last act fight bit, and backtracking a bit to the forest setting again, I think the forest setting would be great because it gives Nagini an environment that she could be familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know the history she has with forest and trees, but in general with snakes.
Yeah,
I feel like it would be cool to have some fight scenes where they're fighting off some magical creatures and Grindelwald acolytes. She could like transform into her snake form and like attack them and protect the heroes. I feel like those kind of settings would give the characters advantages and fun action scenes to work with.
What country did Voldemort meet Nagini in? Because it wasn't in England.
I think he met her in Albania.
Yeah, was that got a forest, a jungle?
I think it was a forest in Albania.
Because you could have that, like it be set there.
Maybe, but I just again I can't. Let's not revise the setting anymore.
Sure. No, it's just because like by the end of it, if she like does become a snake and she stays there, and that's where it like sets up her meeting Voldemort. Maybe that could be for the next one.
Maybe, but yeah, in the end they destroy the MacGuffin, and that's it. After this, the Grindelwald orders his acolytes to retreat. At this point, they're like, "There's no reason for us to stay," and even though it's probably never made clear, it's clear he doesn't want to hurt Dumbledore. In some form, he still thinks he can persuade him. So that's why he doesn't kill them outright.
Maybe that could be taken from the scene with the creature that makes him look like picture the alternate reality where Dumbledore's joins him.
Yeah, maybe that vision could even give him hope that, there's still a chance. Maybe I could turn him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so after that, they leave the fortress. They return to England, and after the harrowing mission, Newt and Tina, they officially become a couple.
Woohoo!
And that's the conclusion for them. They are together now. End of that subplot. Sometime later, they join Dumbledore and Nagini in visiting his brother Aberforth and Credence, and they each share a final moment with him before Credence passes away.
Oh.
So in short, the character's entire role in the story is to have a few scenes at a cottage that I envisioned they would be living in, and then in a bed where he would just like die very sickly but very.
You don't even need to see his face if he doesn't really do much.
I think you would need to see his face because you would need to have the emotional conclusion, the emotional goodbye. Just recast the bloody actor.
I mean, if by then Ezra Miller's sort of become normal again and he's been accepted by everyone in society, then maybe he can come back, but probably not. They'll just recast him.
I'm sorry. I think after everything he's done at this point, I would insist they recast him.
Sure.
But this will be his conclusion. So after this emotionally harrowing event, Newt, in a gesture of good faith, he would offer good intention. He would offer Nagini his friendship, and come and live with us, come and be with us, because or just in general, like stay in touch, because she could still probably live with Dumbledore, but because they've had these years together as a sort of a family. But Nagini, too hurt by Credence's death, decides to turn down Newt and Dumbledore's offer, not wishing to be hurt any further. So she decides to live out the rest of her life alone in Albania. And that's where it ends for her. She walks off. She basically tells them, I'm going to go to Albania. and that's where her story ends for this series. So it's more implying that her eventual fate will be to meet Voldemort. So we don't see Voldemort. We don't see her go to Albania. We don't see her meet him and have the curse come through.
That wouldn't be for many years after this.
I feel like this is the perfect way to wrap that story up, because that would, if anything, that would be the kind of ending where the book fans and I'd like to think the movie fans, they would know what that means. They wouldn't need to be spoon-fed to them. They know she's going off to become a snake forever, and she will eventually meet her master.
Yeah.
After that, all that conclusion there, we can then cut to Jacob. He's now in the trenches, and he's writing a letter to Queenie. And we can then cut to Queenie receiving the letter, and we get a voiceover of him just like assuring her that I'm okay. I'm doing my part. I'm helping in the fight, and I will come home to you. Just a nice little scene that shows that where they are now, what's going on, but he's still got his hope. He's still got his optimism that makes him Jacob.
Oh dear, Jacob's going to die.
And Tina and Queenie, and she puts her faith in him. She knows that he's a man who tries to keep his word, and he will do his best to not die.
Brilliant.
So that's that conclusion to their story in this movie. Now the final scene. Sorry.
Post-credit scene.
Not a post-credit scene, but this is what will cap off the end of the entire movie. So we now focus on Grindelwald and his followers. They're back at their headquarters, and having failed to gain the MacGuffin, Grindelwald's not happy. However, the lone acolyte from earlier approaches Grindelwald and then informs him that their mission may not have been in vain. Allowing the Dark Wizard to see his memories using a pensive, just magic memory,
like he does.
He shows Grindelwald what they found, the mural, and we now see through Grindelwald's eyes, or just in general, we see through Grindelwald and through the acolyte the memory of what this acolyte saw. Intrigued and enlightened by a new source of information this could benefit his cause, he congratulates the acolyte and their loyalty for bringing this information to him. He then orders his other followers to begin research in finding out everything they can about this fantastic beast they have discovered. So cliffhanger there. So that ending there sets up the next film.
Yeah. What's the beast? It's a dragon.
I will get to that. But in short, that is my. Again, it's a bit choppy in places. I wish I'd made it a bit more streamlined in explanation.
No, that's good. That was really good.
But yeah, that is my pitch for how Fantastic Beasts 4 should go.
Nice. That was really good. The only things I can think of to add into that is probably more scenes about Grindelwald's rise to power, because he's supposed to in these years build his army and become the most scary, most feared wizard in all of the wizarding world. So I think that needs to be included in there as well.
That is true. I feel like I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I think they sort of did that with Crimes of Grindelwald, where they set up that he had followers, he influenced people.
Yeah.
So maybe at most they probably could just have a few scenes at the beginning of the movie where he's recruiting more people, and he's "Oh, word of your influence is spreading across Europe now, and we are getting close to China." So they could have acknowledgements with that, but I feel like the main bulk of this movie needs to be more about an adventure.
Sure.
And I feel like this would be my envision of what that adventure could be.
Yeah, this will be a fun movie before the next one, which will be a sort of all-out war, basically.
Yeah, this has got to be the movie where they live up to the adventure approach to Fantastic Beasts. And I think this will be the most different, but also the most interesting one if they do it right. And that's just betting off just this pitch. Because I'm not a professional screenwriter at the end of the day, so I'm sure if this film gets made, I am sure there's a writer out there who's going to be given the task of writing this movie, and they could do an amazing job, much better than even I could. But they might not. But if that's the case, then goddamn it, please just take this pitch, because I would just love to see this adventure on screen.
Yeah, it does sound fun, at least, if nothing else.
Is there anything you'd like to enlighten that you found interesting? Or bring up, sorry?
Um, from my notes or from this?
For mine, but now that we mentioned that, let's talk about yours. What was some of the stuff that
Well,
you wanted to talk about?
well, I didn't really have a picture as such because that was a very good one, and I don't think I could top on that. I just thought we should go through some of the like famous dates in the Wizarding World from where Fantastic Beasts 3 ended, which was 1932, until 1945, in which we know the last movie is going to be set at least. So, dates of note is Minerva McGonagall is born.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear. No, but actually, so in 1937, it says Tom Riddle terrorizes two children in the sea cave. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I was thinking if this movie is set around that, if this movie is set around that, then we could possibly. I don't know if you'd want to have Tom Riddle be involved in these movies, because between this and 1945, that's when Dumbledore goes to visit Tom Riddle in the orphanage. Which, let me see what year that is. That was in 1938. That's where Tom Riddle is in the orphanage and Dumbledore has to visit him.
38. So this would be this film. This story would take place in 45. So that's already happened then.
Well, this would be 1938.
Sorry, yeah.
39. Sorry. So yeah, it would have been 1 year before.
Yeah.
So that is if that's going to be set then it won't be in it. But I was thinking that could be like a fun scene, or like maybe not even show it, but like show, like like when they do, in The Hobbit when Saruman goes to he says, "I'll deal with Sauron myself," and he goes off, and what happens. It could be that sort of thing. It was like, I need to go and talk to a boy in an orphanage, like that sort of thing.
Maybe. I mean, I don't envision. I feel like when I wrote this script, the intention was to do justice to the Fantastic Beast brand. So I tried to make it very minimal with Harry Potter connections outside of Nagini.
Well, yeah, because she needs to be in it because of the other movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the stuff with that's connected to Grindelwald.
Yeah.
So they could acknowledge maybe in passing where Dumbledore says, "Oh, we're getting new young wizards every day. Some of them have the potential to be great, and some not so great.
Mm-hmm.
But if we lead them in the right path, maybe we can ensure a good future."
Yeah.
And so maybe they can acknowledge it without even saying it, where he acknowledges that I see a potential in several students that I've met recently.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be the one link to Tom Link. That could be the one acknowledgement that we get for Lord Voldemort.
Sure. The next date is 1939, which is when you set this. So it says on this website, failure to take seriously the threat posed by Grindelwald results in Hector Fawley being forced out of office. So taken, so he's not the Minister of Magic anymore. So that could be a sort of subplot, like, because a lot of these movies have got like politics and the ministries in it.
Yeah.
So maybe that could be another thing. So it's actual Wizarding World politics with Dumbledore visiting the ministry, like he said to do in the Harry Potter books. Same year, 1939, Leonard Spencer Moon becomes Minister of Magic. So that could be he could be a character, like a recurring character. This stuff could be set after though. This could be set in the next movie. Like if this film is set around this like adventure, the politics and the Grindelwald stuff could be in the next one.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
In 1941, Hagrid acquires an egg and hatches Aragog. So this is what we talked about in the last one, isn't it?
Yeah.
How we think that because of the time periods, the timelines, how it sort of adds up, Newt should give Hagrid, a young schoolboy Hagrid, the egg. So I think that would have to be possibly set in the next movie, but it could be in number 4.
Off the top of my head, I can't. What year did Hagrid go to Hogwarts?
Okay, if it's 1941, then he probably went to Hogwarts in 19. I think he was expelled in his 3rd year. Or was it his 5th year? If it's his 5th year, it'd be like 37, I think, or 1936. And then if it's your 3rd year, then it'd be 19. 39, 38.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out because I can't recall if we got it wrong last time or if I'm just misremembering it now. I'm misremembering too many dates at this point. But in short, I feel like Hagrid is a character that I actually would leave to the last movie, which again we all talked
That
about.
would make timeline sense. If
Yeah.
if 1941, then 1945 is not too far away.
Because the duel is 1945.
Yeah.
And so this film would primarily take place in 1939.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't change anything in that landscape.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that they could have some maybe scenes at the beginning of the movie now, in retrospective, where they have like talks with the Ministry. Because you said that he loses his role in office in 39, was it?
Yeah.
39. Yeah. So so that links up. So he could, one of his last acts as Prime Minister of Britain is, I give you permission to go on this mission to ensure this weapon never gets into the hands of Dumbledore of Grindelwald. So that could be his last act as like redemption for him.
Well, that would be no, because that could be what happens. Because he's thrown out of office because of the lack of things for Grindelwald. So then the next Minister of Magic is the one that sends him on his way. That sends him off to do that.
Yeah, that is better. That is better. You were making things better for me. Thank you.
Like I said, I'm good at going off of people's ideas. I'm not good at giving ideas in the first place.
We complete each other so well.
The only thing after is I always loved in the Half-Blood Prince, all of the Voldemort backstory. So that all of that stuff, like Voldemort's uncle was framed for the Riddle murders. That's in 1942, but that does need to be involved because that's not really relevant to the story.
Nah.
1943, Hagrid is falsely accused of opening the Chamber of Secrets. So if that can be involved, I think we said that in the sort of last episode that we did like this, that we thought that not directly, but Hagrid could be involved in Dumbledore taking down Grindelwald, not in the final duel, because that should just be those two characters, no one else. Yeah. But Hagrid could be a side character with Newt, just helping out, like with Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, that makes sense now, because I think last time in the last episode we talked about how we wanted the film to primarily take place in 1930. I think that's where we went wrong, because that doesn't link up with the timeline for Hagrid.
Yeah,
because we envision him as being like a very young boy, but by the time he's expelled, he's groundskeeper and working for Dumbledore. Of course, he's like 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, not even 18 probably, because if he's in his fifth year, if he's in his fifth year, then he'd be 15, 16.
Okay, so you're
really, really young gamekeeper.
You're still young. So how old would he be in 45?
Probably 18, around 18.
Because that makes it much better, actually. That would give reason, at least. It makes no sense for a young student to be working with adults to take down a dark wizard, or even be on a mission in general.
He'd be in his early 20s at least.
Yeah, but if he's if he's that much older and he's also no longer a student at Hogwarts, and at least a member of Dumbledore's army, the early years,
the first Dumbledore's army.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense for him to be part of the narrative going into the last movie.
That would be a good sort of subplot for this, or a through line for this, is the first Dumbledore's army, the one that sort of helped. What was that for Voldemort? Because there was a Dumbledore's army first.
Yeah, there was the Order of the Phoenix.
And that was for Voldemort. So maybe the Dumbledore's army doesn't need to be a thing.
Nah, but
because it is just him, isn't it? That defeats Grindelwald at the end.
Yeah. But I did acknowledge earlier that Dumbledore had allies at the beginning of this story, so it's not out of the realm to also acknowledge that he's growing his own connections as well, and maybe he could even acknowledge we've got a new gamekeeper recently.
Yeah, stuff. Yeah, little things like that. But I do think Hagrid could be a side character, at least, or at least a cameo.
Yeah, I feel like that would definitely. I would save a physical appearance of Hagrid for the last film.
Sure.
I will give him an acknowledgement at least in this.
Well, if it was 1943 that he was given the egg, or 1941, either one, it was given the egg. We want that to be Newt, so that has to be in it at some point. So even if that is in the end or whatever of the fourth one, I think Newt has to meet Hagrid before he's expelled. Well, because that if he's the one that gives him the egg, that's what our like theory was.
Yeah, that's true.
That Newt gives Hagrid the egg, and that would be before he was expelled.
Yeah. Was there anything else?
Not timeline wise, but the only other point I have about what I want to see in the next Fantastic Beast is a very, very minor thing. Is I think Dumbledore should have more flamboyant clothes and a longer beard and longer hair.
Yeah,
like he needs to look more like Richard Griffiths. Richard Griffiths? That's Dudley. That's Mr. Dursley. Richard Harris.
Yeah.
He needs to look more like Richard Harris.
Yeah, let him grow his hair out, then have a more wizard-like robe. I feel like, that would actually complement the setting. Things are getting a lot more rugged and crazy, so that would almost reflect in their appearances as well.
Yeah.
And it'll be a nice contrast compared to the previous movies where he's been very well kept, very trimmed, beard trimmed,
and
very smart
Muggle clothes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe he could wear like Muggle clothes in like the beginning of it, and slowly, by the end, he like has a bit more of a wizardy robe, or like he wears the wizard robes when he's in the Wizarding World, and Muggle clothes when he's in the Muggle World.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. But that's my main pitch for Fantastic Beasts 4. I'm so glad you like it, mate.
It is a good pitch.
And I really appreciate the little bits you added on there, because that made it that much better, actually. And this would be where we usually end it. But in light of what we've talked about already, I would also like to, again, and this is more so in the possibility of if this film doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If we are not going to get a fourth film, if this is going to be the end, let's at least acknowledge what I would do for the last film.
Yeah.
Because I already have a plot thread going through with this film.
Okay.
Are you curious?
Yes, go on. Please do.
So this is my draft. Again, this is not as well thought out, but this is my draft for how I would envision the last film to go. And you actually added some stuff for our talk today, so thank you for that.
That's okay.
So this pitch for Fantastic Beasts 5 has no title. I have not got a title for this one. I don't know what it would be, but this is the story.
Yeah, because you couldn't have the Something of Grindelwald, but that's already been the title.
Yeah.
Like the Fall of Grindelwald, because you can't have that. Maybe it could be Fantastic Beasts, the Greater Good, which is for Grindelwald's like motto, isn't it? For the greater good.
Yeah, that's true. I think that'd be a bit too much too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
this is a suggestion. Sorry,
yeah. It's okay, mate. So this film begins in 1945. We could have a few scenes opening with the war going on, seeing how each side is dealing with the situation. The Muggles, the magicians, the magicians, the magical people, the magical community. And Newt visits Hogwarts to talk to Dumbledore. While there, he bumps into Rubeus Hagrid.
Lovely.
Yeah, and this could be a nice scene where they talk about how, that spider egg you gave me, thank you for that. Or like just in general, they could just have a nice scene where it's them talking. You get to see Hagrid talk a bit about stuff, how he got expelled, but Dumbledore was so nice to him. He gave him a position as the groundskeeper, and don't tell anyone, but let me keep my wand too. Yeah, have it be a nice bonding scene between the two.
And like Aragog, he's in the forest. He's okay. He has a family.
Yeah. So that's a nice little fan service moment. You see Hagrid, a young Hagrid, for the first time, and then Newt goes on to meet Dumbledore in his office. Because would he be headmaster now?
No, that's Professor Dippet.
Okay then. So he wouldn't be headmaster, but he would go to Dumbledore's office.
He'd go to the Transfiguration office, as it should be, not the Defense Against the Dark Arts office.
Yeah.
I guess they did. Thing is, though, they did say in that movie that you will never teach Defense Against the Dark Arts again. He's like, well, you'll now teach Transfiguration, as he should.
But yes, he goes to visit Dumbledore. The wizard informs Scamander that one of his contacts, a spy within Grindelwald's followers, has discovered information regarding the Dark Wizard's secret plan to eliminate Dumbledore and wipe out as many Muggles as possible. They have discovered an ancient magical beast that hasn't been sighted since the dawn of magic. It is believed to be a creature that fought the very first group of magical casters, whom, after they defeated it, claimed its offspring for themselves and experimented on them, unlocking further secrets behind the creature and its magical abilities. These secrets became lost to history, and the legend of this creature is now nothing more than a cautionary tale told to young witches and wizards to scare them at night. Newt and Tina decide to join with Dumbledore on a mission to Italy, or insert wherever this film will take place.
Yeah.
In order to prevent
Egypt. Sorry.
in order to prevent Grindelwald from unleashing this dangerous creature and causing further strife and harm to the growing world of both muggles and magic. So once again, this is a mission, but it's mainly about these three now. And considering what you talked about earlier, we could involve Hagrid with this as well.
Yeah, I think you should go.
Yeah, so we could have these four people being the final team.
Yeah.
It's the two main characters who are now, they could be married at this point, maybe. I can't recall where that fits in timeline wise.
Who's this?
Newt and Tina.
Well, if they're going to get together at the end of the last one, they must be by now.
Yeah, I can't recall when they got married. I don't know if that's even acknowledged in canon yet.
I don't know. Shall I look it up?
If you want to.
Nope. Doesn't say. It just says they get married at some point.
Okay, so yeah, maybe this could be the point where we find out when they got married.
Yeah.
But yeah, by this point,
It could be after the Second World War. Like that's like when, because a lot of people got married. Like that's why there's the baby boomers. It's because they celebrated after the war by shagging. so maybe that could be the same for them.
That is true. But yeah, I think it would just be great to have the dream team together. We've got the classic characters from the old films. We've got the main character from the new films.
Mm-hmm.
The main characters, sorry. And basically, this is their mission to find Grindelwald, confront him, and the other faction is to find the creature and stop it from being unleashed. While this is happening, Jacob reunites with Yusuf Karma, the French wizard. And this is me just trying to tie up loose ends.
Yeah.
Again, you've had him in 2 movies so far. You might as well
bring him back
bring
for
him
something.
back and for something, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we know he's a very good caster, so why not have him take part in the fight?
Yeah.
So in this case, they're allied with French wizards from the 2nd and 3rd movie. What am I saying? That I'm literally sorry. I'm reading my script off the top of my head as well. But in short, Jacob and his faction of again, I off the top of my head now. I'm just thinking of this here. But maybe he meets some wizards during the trenches, and because he knows about magic, they are a bit more open to him. So they have this almost unit.
American wizards,
this American unit, and they've got a muggle in there to get an alternative perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they end up meeting a friend. Again, I'm sorry for history buffs out there. My history with World War II is very jumbled right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't recall if the Frenchies were allied, weren't they?
They were. Yeah, they were on the Allied side, I think, but they were they like surrendered a lot, so they weren't really in the war.
Yeah. So in short, this can be just a faction that joined that managed to get in contact with them.
Well, I mean, French wizards wouldn't have to be in the war, would they? Like, if it's a French wizard, like, you could rewrite whatever you want for history because they're not Muggle wizards, Muggle French people.
Yeah. So we are taking
no magique as they're called.
Yeah, we are taking our cues way too much from history.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, Yusuf Khan and his faction of his team of magical casters, they would join forces with Jacob and his team of Americans.
Yeah. And
this would be a cool unit team that are basically I would just envision these group of people with these two characters that we have some familiarity with uniting to take part in a secret mission, basically a wizard task force, essentially. And basically they aid the Allies in taking down the final remnants of the Nazi party.
I don't think the wizards should be involved in the actual war.
You think so?
Well, I think that's what they said specifically. They said that they can't be involved in Muggle things, or they weren't specifically.
Oh, didn't they?
I think so. I think something like that. I don't think you can. I mean, you could say that the wizards helped defeat Hitler, but I don't think that actually did happen in canon.
Oh, okay then. Okay, so that could easily be rewritten then. So it could just be like maybe they found out that a faction of Grindelwald's acolytes are planning something that could benefit the Nazi party.
Sure.
And maybe they just have to beat them. So that could be their subplot.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, I feel like that would be a good way to tie up the Jacob storyline with him joining the war effort.
Yeah.
So he and that also ties up stuff with Yusuf Khan and his storyline. And yeah, that would be that. There isn't much added to that. And depending on your own pitch there, he could die.
Well, I think they've definitely set up for Tina and Newt are going to survive because they famously get married and live for a while. I think Newt becomes quite old because he's alive in the Harry Potter series.
According to J.K. Rowling, at least, that he's still alive as of present.
Yeah, so
he's just very old.
Yeah, well, like it must be like Nicholas Flamel.
No.
Yeah, but they've set up for Newt and Tina to be alive, but Queenie and Jacob is all up. It's up in the air. So either they're both going to die, or one or the other is going to die. I think.
Yeah, and I feel like in my pitch so far with these two movies, I feel like Jacob would probably be the one to die.
Yeah, that's the most sad, I think.
Yeah, but I also feel like with just me, I would rather they don't die.
Well, yeah, you'd rather no one would die. I'd rather like Ned Stark didn't die, but the story carries on.
Yeah, we will see, I guess. But yeah. So during the final conflict, Newt is able to subdue the magical creature, and again, I've been very intentional in not describing what it is because honestly, I don't know.
What if it's the basilisk? Like
I don't
something
think so.
similar to the basilisk.
I think it would have to be something we've never seen before.
Oh, what I was going to say, it should be something that we have seen before. So, like, it's like this big thing that is mentioned. They're like, oh my god, it's this thing from the Harry Potter series.
Nah.
That's like the basilisk on steroids. Basilisk with wings.
Nah, because I feel like this has got to be a creature that's been, like, as I said, mentioned from the dawn of history.
Sure.
It's got to be something we've never seen before that's going to cause panic.
What about some sort of like? So my thing I haven't mentioned yet that I've wanted for at least the last Fantastic Beasts movie is that because it's the Fantastic Beasts movie, it should be obviously based around Fantastic Beasts, and I think the last movie should have iconic Harry Potter things in it, like the hippogriff and maybe the Dementors. But what I definitely think should be in this is dragons, because that was what Newt's like backstory is, that he in World War One, wasn't it? In World War One, he was like helping the war effort with dragons. So I think that could be in this again, and maybe the ancient like we should see like all the iconic dragons that have been in Harry Potter just somehow woven into the plot. But I think maybe your like iconic big bad dragon that was of late was should be like some sort of hyped up dragon that's like immense, and it has like 4 limbs, and it has like it can shoot rainbows or something, not like that, but it should be some sort of like really terrifying dragon, because that would be an interesting final, I guess, boss thing to make it different but iconic to Harry Potter and like to Wizarding World in general. A dragon is like the most wizardy creature, so maybe the last one it could be a big old dragon.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm softening to that idea because I do want dragons to be a part of the narrative at some point, but yeah, I do feel like I just at the end of the day, I just envision it to be something that we've never seen before. But that
sure.
could be
it still could be
a version of a dragon.
It could be a dragon that we've never seen before, like that isn't even in the Fantastic Beasts book, like the actual book of all the different dragons. It could be like something that isn't in that, like the one-off ancient, like the one from Shang-Chi. Not actually that one, but something like of that caliber.
Maybe. Ooh. But yeah, Newt is able to, with his kind nature, with his like experience with animals, and basically just in general because he's the main character of this film series, he is able to basically calm the creature.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've got it written down here about he uses his positive energy to like, connect with the creature. You can ignore that if you want. I just feel like, again, better writers can come up with better scenarios for how he would be able to get through to the creature.
Yeah.
Because the only thing I've got off the top of my head is that Grindelwald would find it, enchant it to basically do his bidding, but Newt would be able to get through to it and basically
wasn't that the end of the Secret of Dumbledore with the chilling, that Grindelwald used it for his own advantage, and then Newt stopped it.
Yeah, but that was to basically get him in office, essentially. This is like a weapon that's basically he's sending out to cause panic.
Sure.
Yeah. So essentially that would be Newt, Tina, and Hagrid's plot of this movie. It would be them trying to find and stop and appease, whatever, just stop this magical creature from causing damage. Meanwhile, Dumbledore, he will finally confront Grindelwald, and they will have their epic duel.
Finally.
And this is where the fact that everything builds to in the end, and that's the fight.
Isn't it on a beach? I've heard that it's on, I don't know if that was just the fan film, but I think it's on a beach, their fight. That'd be cool anyway.
Yeah, maybe. I think that
like with cliffs.
Wasn't that with the fan film? Wasn't that depicting Ariana's death?
Oh yeah, possibly. Still, that's not canon though, so it could still be on a beach. A beach is like a quite interesting location that it could be on.
Yeah, it could. Yeah. I don't know where they would set the final fight. I just know.
I think it should be in England, right? Because that's like I think if with this franchise, the first one was set in America, but I think the last one, because it's about Dumbledore and everything, I think that should be set in England or Scotland or the UK. But just because like that's where the Harry Potter franchise is, or like the Harry Potter stories is in England, or it's in the UK. So I think that's where the final Fantastic Beasts one should be, like at least that duel. But I think that duel should be the same caliber or better than the one that was Dumbledore versus Voldemort, because it's supposed to be like the biggest, best battle ever. Well, it's supposed to be, or it might not have happened. Like that is the thing that like some people have said in the Harry Potter books. What if that was just a lie? What if like I think it's like it could be like there was a quote that was like it could have been a big battle, or Grindelwald could have just held up a white flag to surrender. So it would be an interesting interpretation to see what did happen.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what the final event would be if it happened at all.
Yeah.
But regardless of how that happens or plays out, that happens in whatever way, and in the end, Grindelwald surrenders or is defeated. Dumbledore becomes the wielder of the Elder Wand, and we then fade to black, and we jump forward. And we jump forward to the last act of the movie. Well, not last act, but the last scenes of the movie. And again, I know there would need to be more stuff to tie up, like Jacob coming home from the war, or getting news of his death, and all that jazz. But I envision the last act of the movie, the last scene of the movie, would be flashing forward to 1960. So it's been 15 years after the end of the First War. Newt and Tina, they're now living in their cottage in Dorset, England.
Nice.
Alongside their pet Kinesers.
Sure.
And for anyone who doesn't know that, it's the magical cats, the one that Hermione has.
Yeah.
And basically, this film ends with, after all those journeys, adventures, and all the hardships they faced, they're at their home. They're home in on a sunny beachfront, and Newt, he's starting to show signs of age. He's getting grey hair, maybe, but he's in his little cottage with Tina. She's making some nice tea, and he's sitting at his desk. He's writing the newest edition of his book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, as he looks out at the window at the seaside and smiles, at peace with himself and everything he has seen and been through. And roll credits. Yeah, I thought that would be the perfect way to end his story, with him at a place where he is content and happy, and he's able to live out his years happy with his family.
So would it be the last shot would be of Newt, or would it be of Dumbledore?
Dumbledore would have his closing moment. He'd maybe walk off into the distance with Hagrid by his side.
Yeah.
But the last scene of the movie,
maybe that could be the post-credit scene. Or like the during credit scene. You know how there's like sometimes there's like the credits are happening and there's just a scene, or like just after the first lot of credits.
I feel like Dumbledore would have his farewell moment, and Hagrid would be involved, but I feel like that would happen and then we would cut to the time jump, because I think this series started with Newt. It has to end with Newt.
Sure.
So the final shot of the movie would be Newt at his desk at the beach as holiday home, or like his home cottage. He's just writing his revised edition, and Tina calls him away for tea, and maybe one of his cats jumps up and he just gives it a scratch, and then he closes the book, takes a deep breath, and then walks off, and the camera zooms in on the book, the cover of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yeah, I think that's nice. That's quite nice. Yeah.
And that's my go-to canon ending for how I would envision this series to end. I do have here, though, an alternative ending, and this is a one that was purely made up because of fan service. and this is just in case, again, if we get to this point somehow, if the fourth one didn't make as much money as well, and they really want to draw people in for the last one, go all out with fan service at this point. What they would do for this last scene, we would then flash forward to the present day.
Hang on, is this not the scene that I told you that I thought they should do? You say your one, but because I did tell you like what I think, how I think the series should end, and like overall.
Oh,
but you tell me this one, and I'll see if you've ripped me off.
We'll share the rights.
Okay.
But so we flash forward to the present with a now teenage James Sirius Potter, betrayed by the same actor. So he's older now.
Yeah.
So he'll be the same actor, and he's reading the newest edition of Fantastic Beasts when he's interrupted by his siblings. They just come in, maybe they're playing, or maybe they're just having a fun chat about something, and they interrupt his reading. And he shrugs them off, but he does encourage them to give the book he's reading a look, because this newest edition highlights some interesting information that they will likely make the next term at Hogwarts more interesting.
Yeah, it's sort of like, so my one was, it wasn't quite that. It wasn't the present day, because I think the present day, the actor who played James Sirius would have been like in his 20s, and even his late 20s. So I don't think that time wise would work. If because everyone would be graduated from Hogwarts by then.
That's true.
But what my one was, and it'd be a similar thing with a lot of fan service. It'd be so like with a lot of books, the publisher or the author is on the last page. Like there's a picture of them on the last page, just to say like this is who wrote the book, and it'd be like Newt sitting like in the studio that would take the picture, like the photography studio. He's like getting ready, like posing for the photo. The picture's taken, then it zooms out from that as for the cover of the book, or the back page where his face is, and you don't see their faces, but it zooms over the shoulder of Harry, Ron, and Hermione just reading it. Like you don't like it'd be like different actors or like CGI or whatever it'd be, but it'd be literally them in their first year, because that's when they get the book, sitting in the Hogwarts library, and you see the back of their heads, or just Hermione or Harry or something like that, because that's like ultimate fan service. And then it like cuts away or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that it could go either one of those ways, but that is basically my pitch for Fantastic Beasts 5. And no surprise here, the main bulk of this episode was talking about 4.
Yeah,
because I think going back to all of it at the end of the day, I hope we get these next 2 movies.
Me too.
Because I still love this brand, this franchise, and I feel like despite how poorly it's been handled in places, I feel like it still has a fan base. I think they are still owed this ending, and I feel like they have potential to do it justice in these last 2 movies in some form.
Yeah, I've said it before that this franchise now feels like you're in a toxic relationship where like you know you shouldn't keep coming back, but whenever they release something, you're like, yes, I need it.
Yeah,
but they always mess you up.
You never know. Maybe they'll turn they'll leaf around this time. And who knows? For all we know, by the time this episode is edited and put up on the channel, maybe they might have already announced that the film series is cancelled,
or the next one's greenlit.
Yeah, I guess we will have to wait and see near the end, but when the time comes. But until then, whether if it's cancelled or if it's greenlit, hopefully this video has been entertaining for people to listen to. Hopefully they might find some inspiration from it. And who knows if the series is going to continue. Hope so. Maybe the writers might even find this video and have some ideas. And in that case, go for it, May. I wouldn't mind if you took me off completely, because I would just love to see this story. But yeah, thanks for listening, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Mischief managed.